Very much for giving me the opportunity to air my voice as a senator representing persons with disabilities. This is Senator Dr. Gertrude Musrube. And I want to say that I want to be very, very candid as a PWD representative in the Senate. One, what I would want to see is a win-win situation for persons with disabilities in BBI. Now, remember when we look at the 2010 Constitution, Article 54(2), it states clearly that 5% elective and nominative positions should be awarded to persons with disabilities. So what I would want to see is full implementation of this, and full implementation will require an audit. From 2010, the task force should do an audit to see whether this has been achieved, because there are so many persons with disabilities countrywide with papers who are just hanging around. They don't have, jobs, and yet they merit. And also there are many organizations that do not even have a single person with disability. So I would want the BBI to ensure that this is enforced both at national level, at county level, and in all public and private organizations. Organizations should be able to give a report annually to say at what percentage they are, because as we speak, persons with disabilities have really been isolated. Now, I want to give a case in point right now, and I want to be very candid because I represent PWDs. Like right now, in today's forum, in fact, it hurts me so much that there were persons with disabilities of deaf category who attended, but there was no single interpreter to even communicate with them. So I want BBI to really come out clearly and ensure that PWDs of all types are involved, and even in terms of communication, because it says clearly in Article 54 that when it comes to communication, sign language should be used. So in all the forums that are going on right now, there's need to ensure that there's a sign language interpreter, because they're deaf who are also going for those forums. They're actually not being represented. They're not getting the communication, which means people can even give wrong communication to them. They may not be aware of what is happening. And this is a national conversation. A national conversation should ensure that the marginalized of the marginalized are not left behind. And I want to say that even apart from that, I have seen clearly that this document is also not in Braille. I mean, as a representative, I have to come out strongly to say that there's need to interpret this, to write this document also in Braille, so that even the persons who have visual impairment are also not left behind. And then something else I want to see is economic empowerment for persons with disabilities. And when I'm talking of economic empowerment of persons with disabilities, I mean that persons with disabilities should be accorded some form of decent job. Because women are talking about, economic empowerment for women, but there's need to also ask ourselves, how many women of the women women with disabilities who have been given economic empowerment. Lastly, what I want to say is that I want to see the voice of persons with disabilities strengthened politically. That is what I'm saying, is that there's need to give persons with disabilities a voice. Because when you look at some county assemblies, currently, you'll find that there are some county assemblies without persons with disability representation at all. And this is wrong. In a country where we are saying that we do not want anyone to be left behind, persons with disabilities should not be left behind. They should be involved in governance. They should be involved in decision making, so that when decision making is being done, they're also on the table, so that they voice out their issues. There is no single time that people will say that they're representing persons with disabilities and they're not disabled themselves. So there's need for a mechanism to be put in place to ensure that persons with disabilities are actually involved. Otherwise, I want to say that persons with disabilities are supporting BBI 100%, but there's need for a deliberate move to ensure that in as much as persons with disabilities are supporting the BBI, it should be a process that is truly and sincerely also representing them and making them not be marginalized in any way. In any case, this is a quick opportunity for persons with disabilities to be at high levels of employment, national level, county level, and in all positions. So really what we're saying is that the BBI reports comes out clearly to say that they are concerned, they'll take the interest of persons with disabilities. And I want to say clearly that the BBI should take the interest of persons with disabilities by ensuring that persons with disabilities strongly have a voice politically. They also have a voice in economic empowerment. Those are the needs of persons with disabilities. That involvement and also communication, so that they have availability for communication and they're not left behind. Thank you.
Kwa majina naitwa Stephen Cheboy. I'm in the National Council of NGOs, actually the chair. And today we have come here to validate the Building Bridges Initiative report. And why we are here is to reaffirm our commitment that PPI is a good process for this country. And with PPI, we think Kenya will go to another step for this country. And PPI is a document that all Kenyans should support, but of course with validations, small additions and maybe subtractions here and there. And in particular, we are saying that the issues of youth, the women, as they have also presented here, and now the non-state actors should be incorporated in the PPI. For a long time, non-state groups, specifically NGOs and other CSOs, have been seen as antagonists, but they are real development actors in this country. So as we look at this document called the PPI, it should be an all-inclusive document as per the 9 points provided by the PPI, that the NGOs play a very key role, and they should be incorporated in all aspects of development, both at national and at county levels. And it is also time we want to have representation of civil society organizations at the National Assembly and even at county assemblies. So there should be inclusion of civil society organizations, so that they also represent the other voice when it comes to the national and even county assemblies. But more importantly, in terms of decision-making bodies in this country, not just correcting and also inputting in processes. Yeah.
P3 or tafuta nini. We want, if you go to hospital, you find the police who will take your statement, give you a P3, and you get treated, and then forensic labs to be availed everywhere. Because we have found within the nomadic areas, the MA, just from their meeting, they don't even have those laboratories. The women die of excess bleeding because they don't have those facilities within their areas. And we want the marginalized to be included in leadership, and people with disability and the youth. Those are the things we are really fighting for.
But those are some of the proposals that are in the BBI. How do you think it's falling short of all those issues that you mentioned?
Because it's generalized. We want it to be specific. Like this amount, this quota goes to the women. And you provide the environment. Like if you have adequate health facilities for all, we want within the Mashinani, every hospital to have at least all the facilities that a pregnant woman, a sick woman can get. You've seen women are still being carried in wheelbarrows and borders, and they lose their lives in the meantime. We want those health facilities, ambulances, everything, and women trained. And that's why we are fighting for the Health Service Commission that will be able to train all the health personnel to give the health services. It's generalized, and we're saying clear. It's in the Constitution, affirmative action, 2/3 gender bill. It's a rule. But how it is to be achieved is missing. I did 2 bills in the Senate. It never saw the light of the day. We went through Duale looking for the men. It didn't see the light of the day. The County Assembly, there's no deficit because it's clearly indicated in Article 177 how you just top up and you'll achieve the 2/3 gender rule. And that's what we are saying now, included in the Constitution. This is the time when we are going for referendum, and this is our time. It's now or never. And generally, to protect our gains within the Constitution now. And we are saying, do not remove, but retain and give us more.
What is your proposal again on the, I heard, I think it's Margaret Hamar, who was talking about the lawlessness actually in the politicians. If we are to achieve, if we are to avoid ethnicity and the tribal clashes, then it has to begin from, is it the politicians or something? What's your opinion about the ethnicity?
Ethnicity is really, that negative ethnicity is brought by politicians. Because in Kenya, we live in peace. We find people mingling, we don't even care what tribe. Like for me, my best mate was a Kale, a godfather or godmother to my children is Kisi, Kikuyu, what. We don't distinguish tribes, it's friendship. We vote peacefully, but thereafter, it's because of the politics, protecting my space. It's a now do or die. This thing of lack of inclusivity, this is what we are fighting for. And if we say that even if you win, doesn't mean that the winner takes it all. It means you win, yes, you'll be in charge, but no, there's a space for all. And that's why we are fighting for it, and we're ensuring that it's there. And that's why as women we are saying, if the president is a man, let the deputy be a woman. If the prime minister is a woman, let the deputy be a man. And that's the only way we can find ourselves there. Because the men always box us around. Look at the current governors. They're all men. You saw even with the senior armed forces the other day, during the funeral of President Moi, God rest his soul in peace. All those senior guys were men. Even with the clergy, the only 2 ladies, the rest were men. So unless we have places where it is indicated clearly, this is a space for women, it's still a patriarchal society. We still have a long way. And that's why we are saying protect. Thank you.
Na tunashukuru kwamba pia serikali wamekuja kundua that NGOs wanafanya kazi nzuri, na ni jukumu tu la serikali na pia Wakenya kwa jumla kuunga mkono kazi ya mashirika ambayo si ya serikali, na zaidi ya hayo kuhakikisha kwamba wameunga mkono kazi sawa. Na pia ile fedha kidogo wanapata hapa na pale pia waweze kutumia kwa njia nzuri kuweza kusaidia wananchi, na pia wapeananga maoni yao ama masuala yao kwa mashirika yasiyo serikali, ndio wakati wanatafuta fedha kuwasaidia wasaidie kazi ambayo wananchi wenyewe wamesema ni tunataka. Asante.